Hey guys! Welcome back to our channel.
Today we're going to be talking about all things dermatology.
Yeah.
How did we become dermatologists? What's our favorite part about being dermatologists? What's our least favorite part about being dermatologists? But yeah, this will be a fun, relaxed video. Yes. And hopefully you get to know us a little bit better. We did not script this video at all.
No, we're just going
off the cuff. So if we say something that we regret later, I apologize in advance. But no, this is just going to be honest and just sharing our background and, you know, why we do what we do and what we love about it.
Yeah, and if you have interest in becoming a dermatologist, this would be a good video for you to watch.
Yeah, or you just are like
curious about what dermatologists do other than fix your acne.
Right. Because to be honest, before I became one, I don't know if I really knew what they did. So anyway, this will be the video for you and we hope you enjoy it.
So tell me about you first.
Oh wow, my first?
Tell me your journey.
Oh Lord, okay. Even in med school, I was interested in dermatology, but I was like, honestly afraid to be interested in dermatology because derm is historically very competitive. I knew of people who had, you know, tried and didn't necessarily get it, and you know, there was all this talk about what scores you needed, how much research you needed, and this and that, and I was just like overwhelmed by the idea of going for it and not trying. So I almost didn't even want to try because I was afraid to fail. But what pushed me, I had taken a year off between third and fourth year of medical school to do a master's in public health, and during that year it was going to be my year to like explore other specialties, kind of like, you know, see. I thought about medicine, I thought about anesthesia, but ultimately I kept being drawn back to dermatology. And finally one of my friends came up to me and he was like, listen, and he actually is anesthesia now, but he was like, listen, we all know you like derm, you know you like derm, you would regret it so much in the future if you didn't at least try for derm, so just go for it. And I was like, you know what, okay. So I tried for derm, and then
YOLO.
Literally YOLO, because you know, when you are trying so hard to find a replacement but you keep coming back to that one thing, it's like, that's proof of the pudding, right? Like, this is what you wanted. And as for the reason why I wanted dermatology, I would say derm, obviously it's like a happier field, you know, our patients are not like super sick, and it's also very like tangible, the stuff that you do, right? Like people come to you with a problem, whether it's a rash or a scar or acne or something, and then you can like fix it in a very tangible way. And I think the way my brain works, I just really liked that aspect of it. Like I can correct something, and then like, you know, you get to make people feel better about themselves too.
Definitely.
Which I think the difference between derm and other parts of medicine is, you know, like if you have a kidney problem or a heart problem, stomach problem, for the most part it can be somewhat private. But with dermatology, since it's so visual, it's on the outside, you know, people know, right? So it affects you not just physically, but also often like socially and mentally, psychologically. And so I really appreciated how when you can improve something, you are helping that person, not just physically, but like you can see them like transform almost. Like they become more confident, they become more like comfortable with themselves. And so I loved that part of it. And you can see kids, women, men, you know, the elderly, teenagers, like the variety was so cool. The hands-on part was cool. So I knew I loved it. I had to accept that that this is what I wanted.
No, that's incredible.
And find the courage to go for it.
And you're here, so you made it, you know?
Thank the Lord.
Yes, thank the Lord. That's how hard it is to become a dermatologist.
It is. It really truly is. Anyway, what about you?
So, I mean, it's kind of funny because originally I didn't want to become a dermatologist. Because, I don't know, I thought it was like, you're not really treating anything important. That was my mindset initially. So,
and that's the criticism we get a lot.
And this was in medical school, so before I got to experience dermatology at all. And I thought, you know, they just treat acne. End of story. You know? I wanted a lot of hands-on experience, so I really wanted to go into surgery, actually. So I like the OR, you know, until I got to rotate in surgery, and I was like, okay, this is a whole different vibe, and very and the OR is very complicated, and I was just like, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to do surgery in a more comfortable setting, which is more in-office procedures rather than going in the OR and doing something more invasive. So I was kind of interested after that, and then I was like, okay, dermatology, plastic surgery, they all sound like, you know, they have good surgery options in office. And then my mom was always like, you should go into dermatology because of good hours. And you know what parents say, right?
They care about
your like your life as a whole. And she's like, you're gonna have kids. I don't have one yet. And then, but she was like, it has really healthy lifestyle balance, right? So I was like, okay, maybe I'll like look into it. And I like skincare. I always did. I mean, I come from Korea.
I was gonna say,
no, skincare is like rooted in our culture. So it was like, it was basically in my nature to always care for my skin. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll see what dermatology is all about. I had interest in dermatology later on. So I would say towards the end of third year and fourth year. So I got in kind of late, so I was very worried. Because as you know, dermatology is very competitive, and all these people like taking a year off, doing research and like shadowing and rotating, and I felt like I didn't have enough research. And I feel like everyone's score is really high, so you have to have something to back you up, and I feel like I don't really have that, zero connections, I don't know, you know, I was kind of worried. And at my program at the time, we had one position as like a home position, and we had like, I think 7 people applying for that position. So people had to match outside of the home program, which was kind of scary because you had to have some experience working with someone at another med school or hospital, like, or research activities, and I feel like I didn't really have that. So when I was doing OA rotations, I actually really liked this place in New York City where I actually ended up doing my residency program. So I rotated there, and I met some amazing dermatology attendings, helped me kind of get some papers out, and I think helped build my connections. That's actually, I kind of got in through that program actually, and then I did 2 years of research, and it was probably one of the best times. We were seeing patients, and we were actually helping them go through these trials for clinical research. So when they failed a lot of treatments that were available at the time, and to see the results and the efficacy of some of the new medications was amazing. And then I did my residency, and that's why I'm here.
We actually met, we didn't do the same residency, but we did a residency in the same city. And how did we first meet? Probably through a mutual friend.
We'll have her here one day.
She's amazing too.
She doesn't live in the city, but we'll have her one day,
but yeah, they also just do a lot of events in New York, so I think probably at some point we cross paths at one of those events.
And she was doing her, and you were doing, sorry, I'm like talking.
Okay. I was like, who's she? Oh, me, got it. I was like, wait, what was
I meant to you. Okay, like you were doing your fellowship, remember? So she was teaching us, like when we were residents, to train in cosmetics. So that's how like we kind of met, but became close through our mutual friend, basically.
That is true.
So one of the most important thing actually is that we never really gave up in pursuing dermatology. And I think that's really, really important because dermatology is a very tough, competitive field. But if you really want to become a dermatologist and you try, even if you fail once, you know, if you keep trying, you will get there. Because everyone's smart. That's what I tell everybody.
Universally.
Like, every single position, you have to be smart. And I mean, some people have photographic memory and whatnot, but that's not important. At the end of the day, it's your passion for the field. And if you are really interested in dermatology, you will become an expert.
I agree. And I think you will inevitably run into people who are going to be like, oh, don't bother, like you can't do it, you don't have enough research, you don't have enough this, you don't have enough that. And you just have to really put those naysayers aside, honestly, and then just go for, you know, what it is that your heart desires. So if it's dermatology, go for dermatology.
Don't let anyone stop you.
We should talk about what you formally need. So what you actually need in the US, obviously you have to go to, you know, college. So we'll talk about post-college. You have to go to medical school, whether it's an MD or a DO, but you have to do the 4 years of medical training. And then you would apply for dermatology residency, and that's going to be 3 years. But in addition to those 3 years, you have to do what's called a intern year. And that intern year could either be in internal medicine, it could be in surgery, it could be in pediatrics. Most people, I would say, for the most part, do internal.
Yeah,
but,
I would think so. Or like a transitional year.
Yeah, where there's like a mix of the two.
Like you dip your toes in different fields. Kind of.
But it's kind of a way for you to get a foundation of medicine before you then kind of like narrow in on just dermatology. Because trust me, once you become a dermatologist, every other kind of medicine is like, what?
I know.
It was like trying to remember.
It's very different. Yeah.
And that happens for all specialties, you know. The more you become like more specialized, the less that you remember from the past.
You need a refresher once in a while.
Exactly. Yeah. And then after you finish dermatology residency, most people will just go out into the world and practice, but there is the opportunity to do a fellowship, which Heejin was alluding to earlier. So you could do cosmetics, you could do something called Mohs surgery, which is where you specialize in removing skin cancers. You can do pediatrics as well. I'm sure there's other fellowships too, but those are the three that comes to mind.
They're the most common.
Yeah, the most common. And those are 1 year fellowships. And then after that, you would become specialized within that particular subspecialty as well.
And most people actually do a research year before going to dermatology residency, before applying, because that helps them build their resume, where you can write papers, you can participate or become like a sub-investigator, I guess, in trials. I don't know, that's maybe like post-intern year research, but there are different opportunities for research and to get involved, and that really helps actually build relationships. It's important to build relationships because derm is a small world. Everyone knows everyone. So
sometimes too small.
Just kidding. It's too small. So people can vouch for you, which is really important in matching into certain programs. So I would recommend that if you feel like you're lacking in something.
I agree. The flip side, because I guess sometimes people say, do I have to do a research year? Because it's not affordable or feasible for everyone to. If you're fortunate enough to have access to doing research early on in medical school, then I guess I would say you don't necessarily need to. If you end up deciding relatively late and you want to kind of like take time to make those connections, make some papers, etc., then I think a research year is particularly advantageous.
And I think there were also, there are people who switch residencies after matching. Like they go into like a surgical field and then they realize that that's not the right fit for them, and then they will do more research or get in touch with dermatology departments and then kind of transition to dermatology. So I feel like there's never a time that's too late. Unless you never try for it.
I agree. Okay, so now that we have made it to become a dermatologist, what would you say, Dr. Ko, is your favorite part about being a dermatologist?
So, I mean, there's so many aspects to dermatology. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there is cosmetic component of dermatology, but there's also surgical and general dermatology. And I feel like getting a taste of all three is really important before you decide what you really like.
I agree.
Sometimes it's not even enough, even in residency. But that's what I love about dermatology, is that you can pick and choose. You can, if you want to practice all three, you can. If you want to only do one, you can. And you can specialize in cosmetics, or you can specialize in surgical dermatology, like cancer surgeries, like Mohs surgery, or you can be a general dermatologist, or you can do all three, which is amazing. And it never makes your day boring. And I like to do like mostly general dermatology, where you kind of treat like skin cancers, but not Mohs surgery, so that's for the Mohs surgeon. But some minor procedures, like if you watch Dr. Pimple Popper, like cyst excision, or skin cancer excision that is not in difficult places, braces.
Yeah. She's being very humble, by the way. She does a ton of excisions. So yeah, I feel like you're still a surgeon, even though you didn't do surgery.
And then if you want, you can still do some cosmetics, like some laser treatments or Botox, fillers, really whatever you're comfortable with. And based on like where I practice, I do certain cosmetics. Obviously it depends on what you have access to, but that's the good part about it is you can pick and choose, and you can also, if there is demand for certain things and you want certain lasers, you can also get that and do it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. What about you, Miss Cosmetics?
I mean, I will say, so don't get me wrong, cosmetics is fun. I love doing like lasers and, injectables and treatments and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that you have that feeling, that like warm and fuzzy feeling in your heart when you're working. What gives me that the most is when you see someone just like blossom almost in your chair. Like I had a patient recently who I was treating for acne scarring, which we know is associated with like significant, social stigma, embarrassment, etc. So, and then this particular patient, when I first met her, she was, just very like looking down at the floor. She just kind of seemed very sullen and sad. Hair was like completely covering the face, almost like strategically, because she was embarrassed about the acne scars. And then, over time, I could just see her almost just like blossom into this new person with each subsequent treatment when the scarring was getting better at each visit. She's like starting to sit upright. She started to like make eye contact. Hair, one time her hair was like in a ponytail. I was like, oh my God, she's like, she's
blossoming.
Exactly, she's blossoming. And like, it's just, that kind of transformation is very special, and it just means a lot to me. So life is hard, child. So, whatever we can do to make people feel good, I think is always it's always great.
Yeah. Then let's talk about, what do you like the least?
I mean, that's a good question.
About being a dermatologist.
Yeah. Because nothing is perfect, right?
Yeah.
I think dermatology, we are so lucky, even within the world of medicine. It's a great field.
Yes.
I'm happy like 98% of the time. Yeah. But nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
What I like the least, honestly, is probably dealing with insurance companies.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't think patients really have a good understanding of this. Sometimes if you come to a doctor and you need something and they prescribe it for you, I wish we lived in a world where it was a straightforward process and this is what I think you need, this is what you think you need, you get it.
Yeah.
It's just not always
at a reasonable price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's this middle person who has to dictate, your insurance company has to dictate, oh, but do they really need this? Are you sure they really need this? And so it just ends up being such a big obstacle when you're trying to actually deliver good quality medical care to your patient, and you have this, intermediary that's trying to like figure out what to give and what not to give. Number one, it's very tedious. There's a lot of paperwork. You have to go back and forth with them. It's not like you can get a live person on the phone all the time either. So it's a lot of like faxing and this and that. Number two, it honestly just delays care. Your patients are calling, they're like, oh, I didn't get the medication yet. And you're like, I'm trying. And obviously
like, I sent it.
Exactly, I sent it. And then you're trying to do this while you're still seeing other patients too. So unless you work in an office that has a lot of support staff to handle that for you, it delays care overall. And then number three, I think it does kind of unfortunately set like a negative tone sometimes in the relationship that you're trying to have with the patient, because like you have this discussion with them, you make a plan, and then the plan gets derailed by the insurance companies, and then your follow-up visit, which in an ideal world they would have been on the medication and you're following up to see how they're doing. Now we're instead talking about, oh, well, this cream didn't get to you because this was denied, and we had to do this as an alternative. So it does have a negative effect on overall quality of care that you can give to your patients. So overall, I would say the insurance companies, that would be the 2% for me.
No, I agree with you. That's the same problem that we have, and I think most dermatologists go through this. Basically, you prescribe certain medication because you want that medication for that patient. I don't want any alternative.
Right.
They always ask you, what about this alternative? I'm like, it's not the same thing.
It's not. I would have thought about that if I wanted that.
I would have prescribed it if I wanted that. And I guess the whole system was initially developed to minimize cost in healthcare, but it's definitely increasing costs in my opinion. And I don't know, I don't have the facts, okay?
I'm pretty sure it is.
But I'm pretty sure it is, because now you have this patient trying this alternative that I did not pick, and it's not gonna work, and then they're gonna have to get authorized to be on the original one that I prescribed. So now they're wasting their time, wasting the money, so it's actually, in my opinion, increasing the cost, and it's very annoying and very frustrating for patients, and for us too, because we literally have no power. We have no power.
I agree with all of that.
It's so frustrating. And that's why some, you know, when we have pharma companies that provide samples, I'm very thankful for that. Because if it's a new medication that we know is going to be very effective, very comfortable to use with minimal side effects, like we know we can at least provide that sample, because the chance of that getting approved is probably 0.
I agree. I'd give a lot of samples in my clinic. There are people who have been on a certain treatment for weeks based off of samples, you know, because I know they're not going to be able to get it covered, or I had already tried and then it was denied. So giving the samples I think is really helpful for that.
That's the best we can do.
But that's definitely the downside of dermatology, or the downside of medicine in general, but it happens in dermatology.
But I feel like dermatology medications especially are more expensive. I just feel
creams,
like the creams are really expensive.
Even for me, my prescription
generic ones.
my prescription retinoid, the last time I tried to fill it, it went up like, you know, $40 or something, and I'm like, I'm just fine, obviously I can afford it, but I was like, I don't know if everybody can afford this now, so it's kind of frustrating when things just like randomly change.
All right guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you kind of got to know us a little bit better.
And again, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below. We will be in the comments reading and commenting and replying back. So let us know both what you think about this video, if you have any follow-up questions, and also if you want us to do similar videos like this, where we just kind of talk casually off the cuff about our opinions. We have a lot of opinions. So
just drop them in the comments. And our videos will be released every other Saturday around 10 to 11 a.m.
So enjoy them.
Bye.
Bye.